Brunson, they actually put him on an offensive threat, Devin Vassell. They immediately end up putting Brunson in action. Smart, right? Gets downhill, draws a double team. Throw the basketball to Dylan. You did your job. Every team that has a guy that's a target is usually pretty good at protecting him. And one of the ways that they will protect him is sending help on drives and double teams and things along those lines. You did your job. You drew Brunson as the primary matchup because of the depth of offensive talent you have on the floor. You put him in action. You drew a second defender. Mission accomplished. Throw that pass. Here's some really good individual defense from Landry Shamet on De'Aaron Fox. I think that Landry Shamet is a really good matchup for these speed guards. Watch how he beats him to the spot over and over again. Forces him to give it up, contains and forces him to do a tough shot. Did that to Donovan Mitchell a bunch of times. I was a little frustrated with this specific dynamic here where you end up with Dylan Harper on Jalen Brunson. And obviously Shamet's in the gap. But like, I just want to see Dylan Harper try to make Brunson pay with more of an aggressive drive towards that left-hand side. Maybe you get a wide open three for Devin Vassell. Just passing it back to Fox to take a bad pull-up three over Shamet, to me, is just not good offense. Now you're going to start to see the Knicks get a little bit of rhythm on offense. Here we see Jalen Brunson hit a nasty spin move on Carter Bryant in the lane. Watch as he just kind of uses his pressure against him, leans on him, spins, step through. Easy little right-handed scoop shot. Here, Brunson turns the corner just with like a rip-through move. This is an understanding of angles and leverage. He knows that he has Carter Bryant beat on the ground because his center of gravity is so low. He just needs to play through that contact. Look how he just powers through Carter Bryant with the low center of gravity. Hits the little floater. Here, Mikal Bridges ends up making a little mid-range jump shot. You can literally like feel the Knicks starting to kind of settle into the NBA Finals. We talked about that last night in just the uptick in athleticism and defensive talent and how it could lead to a little bit of an adjustment period. Look at this ridiculous Landry Shamet step back three. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. Keldon Johnson, but look at the step back. That's a disgusting shot from Landry Shamet. So you can really feel the Spurs starting to figure it out, and their offense ended up being way more reliable the rest of the way. Here's another one of those double drag skips. So we get a double drag, Wemby slips, skip to Champagnie for three. Would love to see the Spurs continue to wear that out. Here's another offensive rebound for Cat. So you have Brunson drawing Wemby in a switch as a result of this action with Steph Castle. He's guarding Brunson. This creates a dynamic where Wemby gets a good contest and forces Brunson into a tough shot. But this is like Castle's battling. He's doing everything he can. But what do you do with this guy? He's too big. Here's yet another good skip from De'Aaron Fox, this time out of a guard-guard screen with Devin Vassell. Guard-guard, hedge, splits the hedge. Because he splits the hedge, he draws Cat over. Beautiful rifle skip pass to Julian Champagnie. Fox deserves more credit for some of the skip passes he threw last night after an otherwise brutal game. But I do want to see them get more into that. Here's another turnover for Wemby trying to dribble through traffic. I'd love to see him go to more of like a high gather here. So like, I don't understand when you're trying to split two really short players relative to him, why you'd want to have the ball low. Like if his goal is like, hey, I think I'm going to go right between these two dudes and I'm either going to be able to shoot a floater or I'm going to have some sort of easy kick out read, pound dribble, gather up high. Exposing the basketball down low is how you're going to end up losing it a lot against this type of defense. Let me know if you guys can pick up on what I got really excited about when I saw this play. So we have a ball screen with Victor Wembanyama and Steph Castle. Swing back to Champagnie, swing to Fox. Post position for Wemby. Draws a foul. This is something I've been begging for all postseason. Run a ball screen, not to get a shot, but to get Wemby post position. Sets the screen. He rolls hard. Because he rolls hard, he's able to get behind Cat. But instead of just someone jacking up a shot within the next 2 seconds, we slow down. Now Wemby has post position. When he catches the basketball, his right foot is in the paint. And he's able to just turn over his right shoulder and draw a foul. Like, that's how easy it can be when you just show a little bit of patience in your ball screen attack. Look at this defense from Wemby. He guards like 4 different dudes on the same possession. He starts the possession on Cat, ends up switching onto OG. Then As Brunson ends up dribbling off the action and getting into the lane, he switches onto Hart. Then he switches back onto Cat. Then he switches onto OG on the drive and gets a contest. Like, just that's the one-man zone that we saw a lot more in the early third quarter, where Wemby just guards whoever is closest to the basket or furthest away from the action and then just trolls the paint. And that ended up causing some real problems for the Knicks as the Spurs went up 14 actually in the third quarter. Here's a Cat easy inside seal on Vassell. So as you can see here on this particular possession, Vassell is guarding Cat. Wemby ends up flashing high on Josh Hart. I don't think Wemby needs to be showing out that high. As soon as he goes out that high, and you're going to see another example where he contests a three here. Like, if you're going to guard Josh Hart, don't guard Josh Hart. Like, that's so that you can be down here. It doesn't make sense for you to guard Josh Hart and then take him as a threat seriously from the further away from the basket, because it just opens up this void underneath the basket. Really good seal from Cat. A little bit of a push on the back, but that I'm totally fine with. Easy layup. This is another example of trying to put Brunson in action, this time with this little dribble handoff from Cornette, and just Champagnie just takes a bad shot. I want to see that dynamic, but with all of the guards on the floor. So instead of Champagnie, just imagine, in this case, Fox. And so he's probably not being guarded by Fox. He's probably being guarded by Vassell in this case. Or he's guarding Vassell. But I want to see situations like that where you're forcing Brunson to guard in action as the primary defender on a possession instead of like in a situation where they can protect him. Really nice pass from Cat here on the cut to Shamet. So watch Shamet as he drives the closeout, works through the lane, dumps it off to Cat, and then just literally slips and gets an easy layup over the top. Nice pass from Cat. I thought this was a bad settle. Like, hey, you got 16 seconds on the shot clock. And because of a transition cross match, you drew Jalen Brunson as your primary defender. Jalen Brunson is your primary, 17 seconds. Take a deep breath, drive on him. Here's Karl Anthony Towns again. Just brilliant little and one drive against Luke Cornette. Cat was the Knicks' best player last night. Towns block here as he continues to spearhead this run as soon as Wemby steps off the floor. So we're targeting Brunson in a classic hedge and recover, right? Champagnie sets the screen. Brunson hedges. He gets back out. Champagnie still beats it, though, with a little jab step to the left and drive right. Harper's wide open because Deuce McBride fell over, but another missed read. Beautiful defensive play from Cat, though. Now Wemby checks back into the game, and Cat wins yet another battle, this time on the offensive glass against Wemby. Watch Cat just bully Wemby on this one. Wemby's got to throw a better box out. Cat just easily overpowers him on that one. Here's that possession where Wemby ends up contesting Josh Hart up top for no reason. So again, let Josh Hart take and make this shot.